Hey, Successors, before we get into the show today, I'd like to tell you about my new book, Indulge Your Affirmative Motivation Within, 25 Motivations of Personal Development and Life Success. If you're struggling to stay motivated or just need a little boost, check out the ways that I've stayed motivated over the last few years. Go ahead and go over to Amazon.com and grab yourself a copy. That's Indulge Your Affirmative Motivation Within, 25 Motivations of Personal Development and Life Success. Get it now. On with the show.
Success Media Network.
This is your show.
Good day, Successors. I am Antonio Holman, and welcome to the 4 Principles of Success, number 38, where I chat with successful people and entrepreneurs about how they enhance their businesses and lives in the areas of knowledge, health, wealth, and spirituality. Today, we're talking to Kathy Knowles. Kathy is located in Melbourne, Florida, and is a speaker, trainer, and consultant who speaks on the 7-step system for creating more purpose, profit, and possibilities rather than running a business that steals your soul. She works with entrepreneurs and small business owners to hire right the first time and have more loyal and dedicated employees and customers. Ultimately, her clients make the leap out of the day-to-day and onto a much bigger playing field so they can do the work that's in their heart and leave their legacy. Kathy, are you ready to help our listeners prepare for success?
I sure am, Antonio. Thank you for having me on today.
Great. Thank you. And I'm glad to have you. So, Kathy, I read your bio, and you seem very busy, but your personal life is still in the air for our imagination. So give us a clue into that.
Absolutely. Well, my background has always been in corporate human resources. I was a human resource director for over 25 years and loved it, right? Loved putting people in the right places, loved solving the puzzle of all that, loved working with the team members in regard to really helping them create their life to move forward, whether that be on the personal side or business. And what I felt, or what I started to feel after being in corporate for so long, is that my hands are really tied, because when you're in that space where everything is moving so quickly and you are really, looking for the team, not so much to solve problems anymore, but to just more or less get a job done, I find that creativity and innovation goes away, and so does some of the fun. And I really think it's important to have fun in the workplace. So a couple years before I left corporate, I made the decision to start my own business. And my business was probably based, again, more on the spirituality side and the creative side and all of those type of things. But it really is creating those healthy, fun teams that enjoy working together and that can really be innovative and not afraid to speak what they feel and to really go out in the world and let the customers know that they're there for them no matter what. So love that. My husband and I lived down in South Florida around the Fort Lauderdale area up until just about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And we've just recently moved up to Melbourne, which is it's still on the East Coast, but it's more around Central Florida. Big move for us. We, were in our old place for, 26 years where we raised our kids and everything else. So it's exciting and fun to be up here. I have 2 boys, and they're both out in the world doing amazing things. And I have 2 dogs, and life is really good. It's really good up here, and we're excited about meeting new people and having new adventures.
So now you are doing your own thing. How'd you even get into doing your own, type of entrepreneurial ventures? How'd you even start?
Well, I've always been entrepreneurial at heart, and I've been blessed in that I've always really enjoyed leadership. And I've always been one that has looked at people from very multifaceted ways. I've looked at their strengths and said, how can they move their greatness forward? So even when I worked in corporate, I would say, you know what, we're missing this, so let me build it. Or we're falling shy on this side, so let me go out and do it. In my corporate role, we were always very focused on customer service. And I worked in aviation, so it didn't matter if we were hiring an avionics technician, an aircraft maintenance technician. Every one of those people had to be service driven. Because we were there for our customers first and foremost always. So even though there were about 200 of us, when our customers would fly into town, they always felt like it was family. And that's because of that focus that we really put on the customer being first and in serving them. So for instance, at one point we were growing so quickly, I was finding that our customer service focus, I felt, was kind of falling to the wayside. So I've been blessed over the years to have the opportunity to go to Disney and do their Disney Institute training. So went to Disney, did some of their customer service stuff, came back, looked at how it would fit into the organization I worked for, and then did company-wide training kickoff for that. And, I was able to do things like create here we go. I was able to do things like create a safety area where people could go to learn how to be more safe within the organization. So there were a lot of opportunities that I really had to be entrepreneurial the entire time I was there.
Yeah, which is what they like to call entrepreneurial.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
That's really
absolutely.
Good. That's actually, that's a rarity to have in a corporate world. And man, when you get it, that's incredible. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and I think that's why for me it's easy to take the knowledge that I've received after so many years working there and bring it out into the world, because that's what I know. Like, a business needs to run that way. It needs to be innovative and really allow your team members to be very entrepreneurial themselves. Mm-hmm. That's what gives you a strong organization. Absolutely.
What was the first experience as an entrepreneur that you've ever had, and how old were you?
Oh, oh my goodness. I grew up in northern Indiana. My dad had a 600-acre farm, and so I started growing and picking strawberries at about 7 or 8, and I sold strawberries.
Did you do really well at that? Did you sell like a ton of strawberries?
I did, actually. I did sell a ton of strawberries. And, from there, it was just adding on to that and doing more and more. So if you can sell strawberries, then how many people might want cucumbers? So that's where that went for me. Okay, we're going to get right into the nitty-gritty of this. Okay, so the subject matter that you teach, let's see. Hiring right the first time. Okay, you have 3 key elements to building the team you need. Give us a little clue into that. Right. Well, when it comes to really hiring right the first time, Antonio, there's several different factors to it, but there are three key things that are most important. Number one is being really clear on what it is that you're looking for. I think so often as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we are really visionary people. So we're always looking at the big picture, right? We look at the big picture, we're moving forward to that. And then from there, we may not really stop to think of what all the details are of what that really means. So when I say that, like, a lot of times people will come to me and they'll say, "Oh, Kathy, I'm so exhausted. I'm working all the time. I'm always, I can't do this. I need an assistant." Well, the truth is, do you really need an assistant? Let's talk about what you really need, and let's see what position that really is. Because really, a lot of times adding assistant almost just adds more chaos if you're not directing and really working with that assistant and giving them a clear picture of how you want them to move forward.
Okay, you teach another thing about leading. How do you teach managers to turn into leaders?
It's a challenge sometimes, because what businesses have a tendency to do is they have a tendency to promote someone that is good at the position they're currently doing. And just because they may be a great, for instance, in my case, aircraft maintenance technician, back when I worked with that organization doesn't mean that they're going to be a great leader. And you really need to, number one, spend a lot of time with them. You need to allow them to understand that communication is the most important thing that a leader can do with their team. And it needs to be communication that goes both ways. The person, leader, supervisor, has to be able to deliver the messages that aren't so great, right? Like, it's not great to tell someone you're not doing a good job. You could lose your job in a month, 3 months, whatever it may be, if these things aren't fixed. No one wants to do that. But the truth is, unless you're communicating that really clearly, the team member, there's no way they're going to succeed. And then communication on the other side for the team member. The team member has to be able to feel like they can come and sit down with you at any moment in time and say whatever they need to say, even if I don't feel you're treating me fairly, even if I think I need to make more money. You know, all those taboos that's out there in the business world, they have to be able to come in and say that, because without strong communication, nothing will happen. Nothing.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of communication and thorough communication and being understood. Therefore, I tend to give people who I communicate with lots of details because I want to be understood. And I always want the same thing from other people. So I really identify with that because I get very frustrated when people don't communicate with me properly to where I understand exactly what their intentions are and what they're, trying to convey to me.
Absolutely. And that's why I say, even when you realize you have that position that you need to hire for, everything is in the details. We know that, Antonio. So, organizations that are really strong and solid, they're strong and solid because they're really looking at the details. And not only are they communicating them, but they're clear about those details. And that's why I say it's so important. That first step is to really be clear on what that position is that you're hiring for.
Mm-hmm. It's in the details. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so visionary thought leaders from around the world, very successful people, very successful entrepreneurs. How are they always able to gain more clients without working harder?
I think it's really getting rid of the mundane, not the mundane, but the things that we don't need to be doing. So often, all of us, right? All of us in human form, all of us humans love to be in our comfort zone. There's nothing better than being comfortable, than being stable. So therefore, we stay there. But until we take that step back to say, number one, where do I really want to be a year from now? And how am I going to get there? And what are these things that I'm doing day to day, every day, that I shouldn't be doing anymore? When I talk to business owners, so often one of the first things they say to me is, I started this business because I wanted to be a visionary. I wanted to be a thought leader. And now I find I'm just an employee in my company. I'm stuck behind the desk. I'm constantly putting out fires, and that's not what I wanted. So the first thing is really sitting there and getting clarity on, what are you doing that you don't need to be doing, that someone else can do? What are you doing that you don't need to be doing that, quite frankly, probably doesn't need to be done at all? It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm really thinking about that and letting it sink in, because there's so much, because that's kind of the conflict with, it's like the assistant conflict. It's like, yeah. I need an assistant because I'm so busy. Is that the same with,
sure.
Let's see, when you're the thought leader of the company versus a manager, and both people, they feel as if they need assistance. Should one gain an assistant over the other, though?
I think it depends. I think it depends on, whether it be the owner or the manager taking a step back and saying, well, if I were to bring an assistant on board, or if I were to take more off of my plate, what am I really looking at? Like so often, if it's an entrepreneur, well, do you need a social media specialist? Right? Mm-hmm. Do you need someone to assist you on your website? Do you need a graphic designer? What do you need in the scope of everything that could be done on a daily basis that you should not be doing? because you are your company.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. Is it the owner or is it the manager? I'd have to say it depends on really looking at what that person would fill. What would the role be that they would fill? And I'm not saying, a virtual assistant or an assistant isn't a good thing. Amazing thing when you're really clear on what those expectations are. Do you expect them to be handling social media? And if that's the case, you need to make sure that when you're interviewing, you're finding that person that is familiar with LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and all of them, Pinterest, whatever it is. And do they have that experience? And how much of their week will be based on social media?
You talk about the 7-step system for creating more purpose, profits, and possibilities. Can you explain that and how that coincides with your business actually stealing your soul?
Yes, I can. As I said, so many business owners say to me, oh my gosh, this isn't what I started my business for. I'm in pain. I'm constantly putting out fires. I am so overwhelmed. I don't even know where to go next. The filing is 5 feet tall. My assistant's supposed to do that, but yet it never gets done. And so there's a lot of those kind of things going on. And part of that is because, number one, my first step, strategize your journey. The business owner maybe isn't really clear on where they want to be a year from now. And they're certainly not clear on where they are today. So it comes down to really sitting down and spending time and saying, so what is it that you want? And it's amazing how many people can't tell you what they want. And until they can, you really can't go any further than that. So the most important thing in this whole entire journey is to know where you want to be and know where you are now and reverse engineer it. And fill in the gaps.
Yes. Start from success and work your way backward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love the way you say that because that is so, so true. And if we don't know where our success point is, what are we doing this for?
Exactly. I love those words.
Yeah. And then open to recognizing your strengths. I think as an entrepreneur and business owner, we think we can do it all because we can visualize it, right? Like we can see it. And if we can see it, then why can't we do it? Well, the truth is we probably can, but numbers isn't my game. So I'm going to let my bookkeeper handle the numbers side of my business. Well, I go out into the world and I talk to people about what I love, and that's hiring and building exceptional teams, because that for me is a natural. So people ask me questions and it just rolls off my tongue because I've done it for 25 years. Where if I had to sit and look at my QuickBooks all day, it would literally take me a week. Oh. So I think it's really owning what we're good at and owning what we're not good at and finding that space to say, okay, I'm not good at this. Maybe that's the next thing I hire for.
What are some key ways a strong, dedicated team can bring in more clients?
Number one is the strong team themselves. It really is being in that place where everyone is proactive. Everyone knows and understands that they are there for the customer or the client first. Your clients, your customers are your biggest advocates. They go out in the world and they tell other people how great you are. They can tell you if you're looking to hire someone and you've worked with a client or customer for a long time and you tell them exactly what it is you're hiring for, they can actually help you fill that position because they know you so well. So it's really important, first of all, that we remember who pays our bills, who writes checks for us, so that we then can go out in the world and give them the value. We give them the value, they give us the value, and we are there totally for each other. So it really is, in every instance, putting that customer or client first. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying they're always right. I'm not saying customers are always right or clients are always right. There's moments in any strong relationship where you're going back and forth. But I am saying that always putting them first and knowing that the team has the same mindset, that we are here for our customers, is truly the most important thing.
What's a good reason why it's not smart to hire the cheapest person that applies for the job?
Oh, yeah, there's so many reasons for that. Number one, having the wrong person on your team is really truly like having that orange in your apple cart, right? It's the person that's not really understanding your vision. It's the person that maybe doesn't even care what your vision is. They're just more or less there for their weekly paycheck or their biweekly paycheck. And then the challenge is you're going to have a team member that is not really focused on the growth of the organization. One of the things that I always do when I go into companies is I really look at the whole entire team and who are like those number one, I call them soulful team members, right? Who are those team members that are there for the organization, that really understand the values, they understand where the company is going to go, and they know they're a part of that. When you have that kind of person, those are team members that, when you're sitting down and talking to them and doing performance reviews, which, by the way, I don't believe in annual performance reviews. I believe you need to be meeting with team members on a quarterly basis. But as you're really talking to them about goals, those are the ones that are going to take you to the next level. You can't do it yourself. It's those team members. Now, am I saying that it's not possible that the least expensive person that you've just interviewed might not be that perfect team member? Of course that's possible, but never hire on wage, because when you hire on wage, if you're hiring someone today that you can pay $3 less an hour for because of the money, what is the value that you will be able to receive from this person at the end of a year? Will they be your customer or client advocate? Will they be the ones doing these goals? Will they be the ones that understand your mission, your values, and help you get there? It's really important.
Yeah, we are not in this just to fill seats. That's for sure.
Oh, no. And we all know the statistics, right? They say, let's say we've talked a lot today about hiring an assistant because that's what people feel they need. You can you hire an assistant, you might be paying them, I don't know, $10, $15, $16, $17 an hour, whatever that may be, but they're the wrong person. They're making clients angry. They're upsetting your vendors. They're upsetting you because now you find that you're spending even more time in the office. And now the challenge is, and people always have big hearts, right? I mean, there's really very few people in the world that just want to fire people. We just don't want to do that. So now what happens is the business owner starts to say, oh, is it me or is it them? Oh, it must be me. I must not be doing something correctly. So okay, I'm going to hire him next week. I'm going to fire him next week. No, wait, let me try to give him one more project. Let me give him another chance. Next thing you know, 2 or 3 more months have gone by. And how much does that cost you in customers and everything else?
Wow, yes. Sounds like a nightmare.
It is a nightmare.
Oh, my goodness.
I've been there a few too many times.
Oh, man. So there's a hot button issue going on, and it's actually been going on for a long time at this point. Okay, it's about hiring millennials. Okay, how do you attract millennials, and how do you interview with them, and how do you get millennials to work with a team, and why is it different from any other generation anyway?
Right. I love this question because, I have one of my programs is called Find and Fill, and it's a 7-step process. And one of the things I really believe in is once we're clear on what it is that we're looking for, right? We've got that job description down. We don't just go out to, I don't know, Monster or, Career Builder or any of the job boards, right? We don't go out there. We go to where they are, especially when we're talking about millennials. And now it's building that relationship. Working with millennials is very much like working with social media, right? We've all heard about, really building the relationship on social media, of really allowing people to get to know you, of being part of the conversation. Well, that's what millennials look for. And when you give them the right feedback, right? When they know, again, we're going to go right back to your values. When they know what your mission is, when they know where you want to be 1 year from now, when they know that they're a fit in your company, when they are really clear what their goals are going to be, They don't need to be micromanaged. You let them go, you let them do the work in their own way, and you will find that it will get done. It's really quite remarkable.
That's funny. That's interesting. Well, I hate to even say they, but it seems that generation, they come to the table and they have the mindset of, I think you need me, I don't need you.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's really, the more I think about it, that's actually the way things should be, because the person you are interviewing, they're actually a possible asset to your success.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think they come with more of that. And again, I don't mean to say they, but the millennials come with more of that mindset of, this is a collaboration. This is a team, and everyone needs to get on board with what we're doing. And man, when one person isn't on board, you know it. You know it, being the business owner or the entrepreneur, because they're very vocal about it. And really, all those things are great in the workplace. But again, you need to be the leader that understands how to lead each generation.
How can you help business owners get out of that day-to-day soul-sucking grind? Yeah.
Well, I think I work with business owners, number one, to convert them more from an employee themselves, quite frankly, because that's what they tell me, into being a leader. And it's a change and a shift where now instead of being in that day-to-day grind, you are physically in the world looking at your business another way. And when I do that, I really work with them and saying, what are your strengths? What are your team's strengths? Or what is it that you want to hire? If this is what you want to hire, this is the strengths of that person you need. I deal a lot with DISC, personality profiles, and things on that line. I appreciate Colby as well, which really gives you a cool picture of a person's natural ability and what they enjoy doing and how they get their work done. So you put those two profiles together, and it's really a powerful thing. And then I believe in a multi-level interview process. Interview questions that are unique, that really sort of peel that onion back to make sure that when they say that they've done a specific job, they have by the way they've answered the questions. So there's really a lot of different parts and pieces that come into place with that. But when that business owner at that point in time now finds that, yes, I have hired the right employee, it gives them that much more breathing space. Or when you look at their team and you say, okay, these are the team members that are really awesome. Maybe these are the one or two that we really need to get a performance improvement plan on and see if they're even going to work out. And maybe they will, and maybe they won't. But letting them go and then getting the right people in, that starts to give that owner the breathing space to step away from that day-to-day and start saying, okay, so, because once you figure out what you want in 1 year, and once you start to build the team and the people and know what your own personal strengths are, now you start to say, hey, if I want this in 1 year and I see it so close, what do I want in 3 years? How am I going to get there? Changes the whole mindset.
Now, one very important thing that still seems to be a struggle for people in business, actually, it actually kind of seems like a struggle in just day-to-day communication, just in regular conversation, relationships. But in the business sense, the issue is integrity. When you're in business, you a lot of people tend to have the mindset of just get the sale, just get the sale. Why do you think people struggle so much with integrity?
I think that people are so tied up in a way with what they think other people want that they're not listening and open and transparent. Number one, in understanding, asking those powerful questions to understand in a sale, to understand what a person is looking for, and to really be open and honest about whether or not you or your company or whatever it may be is capable of doing that. I think that, we're not standing in the groundedness of awareness if that makes any sense,
Mm-hmm.
to really get a feel for where we are in this moment.
Yeah. Not to mention where we need to lead that client so the client feels happy about what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's no one's fault. Right. And I go there and, because it's one of those things where there's just so much information coming at you all the time, unless you take the time to really clear your mind and you're really grounded and aware of what the questions are or what needs to be done or said or whatever it is at this moment or not said. If you're not there, you're not being in your own integrity. And if you're not being authentic in your own integrity, that's your client will know that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Human nature always knows that somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. Intuition. My company name is Intuitive Strategies, and I'm a big believer in being in that place of, being silent, being aware, knowing what this moment is bringing on, and also following your gut with it.
So, Kathy, you seem to be in a positive space right now in your life, but we all know it never stays beautiful and happy and good.
Yes.
So,
very true.
Throughout your journey, what do you think is the time when you felt most unsuccessful in your life?
Yeah, I've had a couple really years where it seemed, how you have sometimes one of those years where you say, oh, it can't get any worse than this, and somehow it does.
Oh, yes.
I've had a couple of those years, and one of those years in particular was when my mom passed away. And, my oldest son moved out of the house for the first time, and I just wasn't doing well. And I really needed to step back and look at my life and look at the chaos and drama that I myself was allowing into my life. And that was in 2001 for me. And I think it was probably the biggest shift that I've ever made as far as me finally being accountable for myself and not letting anyone else's dogma or drama come into me, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Before that, I think I was living in this bubble. I was really living in this way that probably wasn't authentic. And then when she passed, along with everything else that had happened in that year, and like 3 or 4 big things happened, it just kind of stripped me to the point where I was really raw. And I said, where do I go from here? And where I went from there was a place of somehow, in some way, really learning to not only deeply love myself more, but to nurture myself and to put myself first. And then in 2014, we had another one of those years. I lost my dad, and my husband lost his father and 2 brothers who are younger than him.
Wow.
in 8 months. But I think because I had gone through what I went through in 2001, again, really reflecting things back into myself and looking at everything differently. It was a really, really hard year, but it wasn't like it was in 2001.
What do you feel was one of the hardest things in your business to overcome, but you've since conquered?
Probably, being a new business owner when I left corporate and I already had my business, but, started working full time in my business and put my sign out on the front yard, shall you say. I wasn't doing the right thing. I was sitting in my office working all day on things that weren't important. And then all of a sudden I said, oh, wow, I guess I have to get out and talk to people. So it took me 6 to 9 months to learn that. During that time, I was in a whole lot of pain. And I think, too, one of the things I was doing was, I was constantly like throwing something against the wall and seeing what would stick. And maybe that wasn't naturally who I was. So now my focus on what I do is much smaller, and I am standing much more confident in being a business owner and really enjoying connecting with people and being with people and meeting them and, helping them with their teams and their issues. But yeah, that first 6 months to a year, I did a lot wrong.
What one thing in your business are you currently struggling to overcome?
Oh my goodness. I think moving. I was in an area. Now, I work with people all throughout the United States. At that fact, I work with people in Canada and things like that. But back home where I lived, I was kind of like a connector. I knew a lot of people. I'd been there for a long time, and I could, be in a store in town and, oh my goodness, how are you doing? I want to introduce you to this person, and so happy to see you again. And now that I'm up here, I really am starting over. When you talk about that, that brand new salesperson that needs to go out and knock on 200, doors, right? Well, that's what I feel like I'm starting to do right now. So from that perspective, I think I'm really feeling a little vulnerable.
Yeah. What do you feel is your one biggest business triumph to date?
Hearing the results of my clients. When I go out now, I'm starting to ask for case studies and things along that line. And one of my clients, his name is Corey Davis, and he is a wealth manager. And, he came to me just a little under a year ago, or probably not even a year ago, and he was really not making the money he wanted to make, putting out a lot of fires, not really passionate in what he was doing anymore. He was working with a gentleman, within the office, but the gentleman really owned the business, and then Corey was helping. And, Corey and I really worked together to get really clear on where he was going and where he was. We really looked at what Corey was strong at and where he was wasting his time on things where he wasn't strong. We talked about if you were to bring someone on to help you, right, just you, what would that person look like? Who do they need to be? What are some of the qualifications? What would you want them to do? And so I sent Corey a text. I think we did that like November of last year. So I sent Corey a text around the first quarter of this year, as the first quarter was ending in April. And he said, well, Kathy, just to give you an idea, last year I made $75,000 in the entire year. This year in the first quarter, I made $65,000. And then the other day, Corey sent me another text out of the blue to say that the person that's always owned this business has now approached him and said that he wants him to partner up. So he's going to now he's going to be a partner within this organization. So I'm really proud. And, I just love it when my clients come back to me and say, thank you. Thank you for helping me find the right person. Thank you for helping me put the team in place. This is what I'm doing today. I have one client who actually is going into the office a lot less now, and he's helping. He lives in the west part of the United States, and he's really out in his community, helping to bring more in as far as more housing, as far as more people to come to that community. And it's just really filled his soul up, I just love it when my clients become soulful.
Yeah, you know what you're doing. That's good.
Yeah. What
do you feel is your one biggest personal triumph to date?
Wow, I've had a lot of those. Probably personal triumph would be overcoming addiction after my mom passed. That was a big one for me. Certainly, as well, leaving corporate because, man, I was in a position where I was never going to lose that job. I was very entrepreneurial. I reported directly to the owner and could kind of do whatever I wanted to do. And it was a nice 6-figure salary. And that was a big deal. It was a big deal to walk away from that.
Hang tight, successors. We'll return to our conversation with Kathy Knowles as well as quick success after a word from our sponsors. Podcasters, want more listeners? Check out promosharecast.com and join the community today. That's promosharecast.com. Join today and get the first month free, and you'll also receive 50% off for a lifetime membership. Sign up today. promosharecast.com. Are you a tense, tired, busy person who works day in and day out, who tends to lack the proper sleep and energy? Using modular supplements, health-related articles, recipes, life hacks, and more, Bellison can help. With quality as high as Bellison, you're buying from a company that cares about the environment and only uses premium vegan supplements. That's Bellison.com. Want to learn how to cook healthy, exercise, and meditate in just 30 minutes a day? Bellison.com. Want to feel healthy, energetic, and focused like me? Bellison.com. To receive a 10% discount at checkout, visit Bellison.com with the coupon code THE4POS. Visit Bellison.com now. That's BELISAN.com. Compassion and quality without compromise. Bellison.com. And we're back with Kathy Knowles. Now we get into the part of the show I like to call Quick Success, where you, Kathy, can inspire the successors to enhance their lives in the areas of knowledge, health, wealth, and spirituality. Kathy, what are you currently doing to enhance your knowledge?
I am currently working with a few masterminds. I am involved. Of course, I receive coaching myself. I feel that it's very important to be coached, to have someone that you are accountable for that can kind of see the forest from the trees for you. And I absolutely love being involved in my mastermind groups. You know, they're the ones that will always call you out. If I haven't been doing what I've said I need to do, if I've been really procrastinating too much, if it doesn't sound, they know me well, so if it doesn't sound like it's part of who I am or who my company is or the brand or whatever it is, they absolutely call me out on that. And those are the two most powerful things I'm doing for my business.
What are you currently doing to enhance your health?
I am currently, well, first of all, we have a puppy. Well, she's a year old, but she's a border collie. And I don't know how much you know about dogs or puppies or border collies or anything like that, but they are super, super hyperactive. So I spend, number one, a lot of time with Tessa. We go out and we run every morning. And then I have also made a commitment to myself to cycle now. So I've been doing that twice a week. And I've slowed down a little bit just because of the move, but I've started to get back into it again.
What are you currently doing to enhance your wealth?
My wealth, well, I'm very focused on my numbers, even though I'm not good at doing them myself. So I always know exactly where I'm at as far as my numbers, and I also know exactly where I want to be. So one of the things that I've been doing is I've been talking to another associate, I guess you could say an associate or someone that does something similar to what I do. And we're planning on joining forces and creating something really cool that's going to be coming up into the future, probably by the end of the year or January.
What are you currently doing to enhance your spirituality?
Yeah, you know, moving up here for me has been a beautiful gift. It's a little bit more laid back. It's much more quiet and it's much more peaceful. I'm a meditator. I love to meditate. I think it's very powerful. And I find that lately I've just been spending more quiet time. I've been going into deeper and longer meditations. And I've been spending more time outside barefooted, to me, that helps me increase my groundedness and spirituality.
When it comes to success, what do you feel is one of the best pieces of advice you've ever received?
That the details really matter. The last place that I worked, the owner of that organization was really all about the details. And he helped to teach me to be much more detail-oriented, and that your clients are definitely your biggest advocates. They can take your business from being very little to nothing, and they can help you excel and grow, and they are always your partners.
Are there any modern technologies or apps that help you achieve success?
Probably my CRM. I use Infusionsoft, and it is a very powerful and strong CRM, and it gives me the ability to take a lot of notes, to put reminders in. So Infusionsoft would be my best software, I'd say.
What new thing, book, activity, technology, or skill are you really excited to learn and dive into?
I think from the skill perspective, I've been looking at, I mentioned earlier that I believe in doing the different types of personality profiles, and I had talked to you about DISC and Colby and how they fit. Most recently, I've been looking at an emotional intelligence part of that, because I do believe that fits into the total of who we are. And so I'm really excited to learn more about that.
As far as helping our listeners achieve success in whatever it is that they're doing, what piece of advice can you give them?
First of all, to understand how important that you are to your business, and don't lose sight of that. And when I say that, I mean, don't get stuck behind a desk. Be out in the world doing what you love to do the most, and know that it is easier than you think it is to find, build, and create teams. You just need to have clarity in what it is that you want, what your values and mission are, and how you want to serve your customer, and it truly will all come together.
A lot of people need to hear that. That's very good. Very, very good.
We talked a lot today, Antonio, about hiring. So I have an ebook. It's called Find and Fill. It's the ultimate playbook for creating your own dream team. And you can find it at kathyknowles.com/find-and-fill/. And then I have another one called How to Create a Customer Referral Program in 3 Easy Steps. But they can just find that on my website at kathyknowles.com.
All right, there you have it, successors. Kathy has that ebook for you, Find and Fill, at kathyknowles.com/find-and-fill. All right, Kathy, how can our listeners connect with you?
Absolutely. I would love for your listeners to connect with me, and they can go out and leave me a message, or they can certainly find me on social media. If you want to go to my website, it's kathyknowles.com, and you can certainly leave me a message there. My social media, you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter, and it's Kathy Knowles, kathyknowles.
Great. And successors, all that information will be on the website with all the other information of this conversation. Finally, Kathy, what's your definition of success?
Oh, I think it's, living your life on your own terms and being in a place where you can really be of service to people.
All right, successors, I hope you've enjoyed my conversation with Kathy Knowles. Please check out more successful free content like this at the4pos.com, as well as rate and review wherever you find your podcast. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for listening, and prepare for success. Thanks, Kathy.
You're welcome. Thanks, Antonio.
If you want to do more, earn more, be more, and stay more motivated, visit Amazon.com right now for a copy of Indulge Your Affirmative Motivation Within, 25 Motivations of Personal Development and Life Success. Get it now at Amazon.com.